It is 7 p.m. on August 27, 2019, and we are going to open the administrative board meeting. You roll call, please.
Trustees Chris Sample.
Here.
John Talbot.
Here.
William Luxinger.
Here.
Dina Simpson. Here. Jen Christensen.
Here.
Jared Stone is absent. President Rick Worm.
Here.
Treasurer Brenda Onamini.
Here.
I, Clerk Sandy Monson here. Attorney Dan Bolin.
Here.
Public Works Supervisor Brett Fergie.
Here.
And Park Supervisor Kenny Leamer.
Here.
All right. Read off the items on the consent agenda, please.
Yep. On the consent agenda tonight is item number 1, the July 23rd, 2019 Administrative Board Minutes. Number 2 is the Bills Payable Warrant List dated August 27, 2019. Number 3 is ordinance number 19-17, is ordinance regarding President Pro Tem, temporary chairman, and village committees. And number 4, ordinance number 19-18, ordinance granting a special use permit and site plan approval for utilities for Andrew Fruth and Mallory and Zelmi at 196 Autumn Wood Lane.
At this time, does any board member wish to pull an item from the consent agenda for further discussion? No, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to place agenda items 1, 2, 3, and 4 inclusively as consent agenda items. Further, I move that all items be considered together as the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
William makes a motion to place items 1, 2, 3, and 4 inclusively on the consent agenda. Dina seconds. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Jen?
Yes.
Jared is absent. John?
Yes.
Dina?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
William?
Yes.
Motion passes 702.
I move to adopt agenda items 1, 2, 3, and 4 inclusively on the consent agenda in a single group pursuant to the omnibus vote procedure specified in the Illinois Municipal Code.
I'll second that.
William moves to make items 1, 2, 3, and 4 inclusively on the consent agenda. Dina seconds. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Jared is absent. John?
Yes.
Dina?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
William?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Oh. Motion passes 703. My item will be later, so we'll move to the clerk.
I don't have anything because I'm going to be seeing talk about it all.
Hold on, I got to write. Sure.
Oh, we can wait till we get to your section.
Okay.
I have it all listed there for you.
Oh, thank you.
Brenda?
Well, I don't. Well, the auditors were here last Wednesday for their preliminary audit. They just gathered stuff. So, and they'll be here in September again for 3 days. I think that's all that's going on right now.
This is our new auditor?
Yep.
Wonderful. Village
I'm
attorney?
done.
Very good. Thank you. First, under my section is the draft ordinance that's included in your packet for cannabis business establishments. As you know, as we discussed earlier this year, the state of Illinois authorized cannabis businesses for adult use of cannabis in the state of Illinois. The board gave us direction to allow dispensaries in certain commercial zoning districts, and this draft ordinance does that. It is only a draft, and it's only here before you tonight because it is a staff-initiated application. I'd like to take any comments that you have before this goes to public hearing next week, before the Planning and Zoning Commission. The Planning and Zoning Commission will make a recommendation, and ultimately you will have an opportunity to formally consider this ordinance. But as you can see what the ordinance does, it defines the various types of cannabis businesses, including medical cannabis businesses, and also allows them as a special use in the commercial districts for dispensaries that we talked about, but there's also other cannabis businesses, that the village should consider, cultivation centers, craft growers, infusers, processors, transporters. There's all various kinds of businesses that will be supporting the cannabis industry in Illinois. As a draft, we've placed those as special uses in the appropriate industrial districts where those kinds of manufacturing and processing activities and cultivation activities take place. The proposed ordinance does prohibit on-premises consumption. That is, the state law allows the village to decide whether consumption would be allowed inside a cannabis business establishment. We expect that won't be very common at the outset anyway, because where this is rolled out in other states, there's been challenges with odor and indoor air quality and insurance for that type of use. While we do expect someday that will become a growing industry, I don't think it will at the outset. The other regulations for special use for a cannabis business, compliance with state laws, obviously compliance with state-approved plans, location restrictions. You can limit the location of these businesses near sensitive places. You get to define what those are for cannabis businesses. So the draft ordinance has 500 feet from schools, daycares, child care facilities, residential zoning districts. That's up to you how you'd like to dial that in. Medical cannabis cultivation centers are statutorily required to be 2,500 feet from those same sensitive uses. And then, but medical cannabis dispensaries, the old statute had 1,000 foot per medical cannabis dispensaries from those uses. But for you can retain that requirement, but for cannabis dispensaries after July 1st, you don't have to. That the state law does not require that 1,000-foot buffer for medical cannabis dispensaries. So these are the different kinds of policy choices that the Planning and Zoning Commission will be taking up. If you want to give them any direction, we'd be happy to take that into consideration. Other things are generally required by state law. You know, you can impose hours of operation unless they're established by state law. Dispensaries, I think, are open 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. by state law. But other uses, you could prescribe hours of operation. There's random inspections, no drive-through windows, compliance with your local waste regulations. All of those would be incorporated into or included in the draft ordinance. And most significantly, if an applicant comes in, we would ask to see all their state approvals and application materials, so you could see the state application requirements are very stringent, so we would stand on the shoulders of those giant submittals and include those in our review for special use standards. At least that's what's in the draft. Happy to take any questions.
A question, and then I have a comment.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, a question, and you might have answered it for me already when you said the thing about, like, us kind of following suit. So after the state gives their approval, then we can look and request for all of their items that the state requires. So in that one section, they were talking about, like, the odor control plan, the floor plan, all that stuff. Is that the stuff that's required by the state, or is that additional stuff that we would look at? And then if that's the case, who would actually look at that to say, yeah, this is appropriate for that type of practice? Does that make sense?
Right. So the way the state statute's written, the applications are scored based on those plans, and,
Okay.
So, yeah, the short answer is yes, that's what they submit for their state applications. But it's kind of they're scoring the applications, and they're kind of telling the state how you tell us what's the best way to run a cannabis business. They don't have, set out standards or administrative rules yet, for how to run cannabis business, adult use cannabis businesses anyway, in the state of Illinois. So they're judging them based on their applications. I expect that the plans will be robust. It's going to be a competitive environment for applications. But I can't say definitively that the state approved plans will be everything you'd want to see to evaluate compliance with your special use standards.
Okay. And then my other one was just a comment. You had mentioned that, like, feedback on that you can, I don't know if you used the word waive, or you can, I think waive the 1,000 feet, rule that you had said. So, like, my feedback on that would be not to do that. I would not be in favor of that, and that would be the only thing I've had.
I think it's written so that we're following the 1,000 feet right now.
It looks like it is,
I
but
think it is.
he had mentioned we could waive and give different yeah.
Right, but that's not required anymore, but you can require it locally.
Because I would be in favor of requiring that.
Okay.
And I think,
For medical, by the way.
Right, that's what, yeah.
I think when Dan and I were talking, the two things that I didn't quite have answers from you guys on was the districts. And so I have it planned for the planning, to go before planning and zoning in the C1 and C2, which is, this Route 72 and 251 corridor, but with the setback that pretty much pushes it out of all of the original town district on some, probably most of it, but it does, I wanted it in the commercial unless you guys have other feedback to give to planning and zoning.
Well, and mine is not feedback for planning and zoning, mine's more of a question again. So, like, I know when we do the consent agenda, like, eventually down the road a piece, you mention about, like, you like to know ahead if there's something that we would not really,
Yeah.
that we want to separate or whatever, so that if we're still wanting to do that, we could separate that off the consent agenda at that point in time, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Are you saying you want it that way? 'Cause that's fine with me.
that's how I would want it.
Yeah,
I really wouldn't even
Not
put it on
on
there.
consent.
yeah, not on, take that by itself.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big,
It's a huge thing.
yeah.
So just list it.
As a
not on-
separate?
Yes, list
Yeah.
it separately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be
Consent
my,
agenda will be all the other items.
please, that would be my preference.
Got the
Which portion are you trying to get to?
use table, that one. So, to follow up on Sandy's point, these are the proposed, districts.
All commercials?
So you can see, the kind of processing and, growing uses are in industrial and agricultural districts proposed anyway. The dispensaries, they're retail use, they're kind of those retail kind of districts, commercial districts. And then the manufacturing uses, the infuser, processor, transporter, those are in the kind of heavier commercial and industrial uses, just as an opening proposal.
And I will say thanks for the definitions, because I was going to ask, and then as I scrolled down, I'm like, oh, good deal.
And there may be changes that you guys might see, because planning and zoning gets the next crack at it, but...
And then we'll see it again.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Right.
Yep, so planning and zoning will take a look at it at the public hearing next week, and then any changes they make will be made before it comes back to you guys again. I'll ask Dan to redline any changes they make so that you guys can easily see what they've done.
And everything remains special use like we asked. That way they have to come before the planning and zoning and us.
For now.
Right.
Planning and zoning can recommend something
They
different.
could.
And then, what was the other one? The other one I didn't know that Dan and I kind of had to take a stab in the dark was the, lounges, the smoking in the building,
On-premise consumption?
on-premise consumption.
Mhm.
Now it's all...
And I
It didn't look like you could on premise.
Yeah, Dan said, for right now, that's the way it's set, so if you guys want something different,
No.
recommendation to PZC.
I think that was what our recommendation was.
I think that was kind of what I solid answers came out of that. Those are the only two things I remember us having
Glenda?
conversations on. Microphone, please. Hold on, microphone. There you go.
As far as the smoking goes, I would think that would fall under the state statute of no smoking for cigarettes, wouldn't it?
No.
I bet not.
Not if it's allowed locally. It would be an
Okay.
exemption. But that is one reason why, another reason why communities, many communities aren't allowing it at this time.
That's all I had.
So, any other questions about cannabis? If not, we'll take this to the Planning and Zoning Commission next week, and it'll be back before you later on. The next item under Village Attorney is discussion of a temporary use in the C1 district. There's been a request for a temporary use for a coffee cart.
Yeah, they
For a
are
what?
aware, the coffee
Oh,
guys,
okay.
they are aware of the general premise of it, 'cause I did discuss it with them last week.
Okay. And it is temporary use, limited scope use. We're working on an agreement. It's not technically allowed, but we're working on an agreement that they would sign to allow this limited use for a limited period of time on specific days through October. That would include consent of the owner, the limits on the hours of operation, days of operation, and otherwise compliance with laws, even though it's not strictly allowed at this location. I understand that there's a general desire to give this use a try, and if it works out, maybe consider future changes to zoning at this location. But also there's been a request for temporary signs, and that's another thing we'll add.
Yeah, since last week, he informed me that he'd like to be able to put the signs, I don't know if you guys have seen his cart in Byron, but he's got signs that are about the size of realtor signs that say, his hours and days that he's there, and that he's selling coffee. He'd like to be able to put something like that also up. And
You looking for something permanent past the 14 days?
so at this point, he came in asking just for a short couple of weeks to see how it turns out. He's now asking for, through October is what he's hoping, and then he'll hibernate for the winter. And I told him, I said, well, if the board okays the waiver of these things through October, we'd have to use those winter months to put him into compliance with our sign ordinances and zoning ordinances and everything
But I
else.
thought, can he put a sign out no longer than 14 days, 30 days total combined for the year or something?
Dan said only if the use was allowed in that district to begin with, but because he's already he doesn't conform to any uses in that district, it's not allowed either. So if the board doesn't have any objections, Dan will just put it in the letter to allow it for now.
It would be,
I don't want a permanent sign.
To not prosecute him for now. If you've ever seen those ones in Byron, they're realtor signs, super temporary.
Right.
He moves them as need be, because we all know as you see signs, you just...
And he wants to leave them up when he's not here?
I think that's the days and hours one he does want to leave up. The coffee ahead one and things like that, he doesn't want unless he's here. But he wants to be able to advertise the days in which he will be here. I told him the problem with his location over there is that land is owned, all the land in the front of where he wants to be is owned by the village, and no signs are allowed on village property. So he's gonna have to be creative in finding some locations over there.
I think you should put him out the days he's here.
Put them right on the easement like everybody else does. We don't yank their signs.
We typically don't, but, he was looking more in front of where he's going to be by where the village sign is, and I told him that probably would not be acceptable, because that's not acceptable under a temporary sign.
I was gonna say, yeah, and if we start doing it for one, then what's gonna happen from?
Well, that's my fear of changing or not enforcing our rules, is have him put him out the days he's here, take him when he goes.
I mean, I totally see the advantage of putting it out the day before or 2 days before, letting them know, hey, I'm here tomorrow or whatever. I see the advantage to that.
And he did tell me he is looking for...
Well, I do too, but the people up in the strip mall could argue the same thing.
But
They could argue any change,
They
anything.
can put theirs up for 14 days.
Yeah.
Right.
The strip mall people don't have the compliance issues
Right.
that our guy does. He did tell me that he is hoping for Wednesdays and Thursdays here. So he'll be here 2 days a week and see how it goes.
I think he's gonna back up the traffic.
Find out.
Bother me if he puts the signs up.
For how long?
I don't know, he gets 30 days. Tell him to choose.
I didn't hear your question.
No, I said he gets 14 days in a row or up to 30 days, right?
I know it's 14 days in a row, and I thought it was 30 days.
I think it's 30 for like the whole year
For
or
the
something like that,
combined
yeah.
year.
It's only gonna be here for a month and,
Right,
you know.
pick and choose your
Yeah,
days.
Well, it's
just
only gonna be
pick and
2
choose
days.
your 30
Days
days.
a
But
week.
the issue is that the area that language applies to isn't for that zoning there.
And
It applies to the commercial district down.
But it's not allowed in that one either.
which one?
What's what you just said, this is not allowed for him either, because
It's not allowed for the coffee guy in here because he's not in the district.
He's not in the right
Yes,
district. Correct, he's
yeah.
in a residential district.
Well,
So-
a mixed use original town district.
I mean, the
Well,
whole
14
idea,
days
the whole
doesn't apply
idea
to
of
that.
this is that we think that the village, the people who live in, the residents of the village will enjoy his coffee, right?
Let's see if he
I
can,
hope so.
see if he can make a successful stay of it.
There wasn't really, we don't have a defined answer from the
Oh,
board.
But if I'm gathering,
I'm good
I think
with that.
just like we're making him tell us what days that he's gonna be here, should tell us when and where his signs are gonna be, and just lock them in, and and that'll be part of the
And it sounds like a total of more
Conditions.
than 30 days total for the signs, which is what our temporary
Right.
sign is anyway.
And I think, like you said, he's only wait a month and a half.
Yeah.
He can
Yeah.
probably easily, if he's gonna be 3 days a week, he'll easily have enough time to, or 2 days a week,
We
plus
will
advertise
also
that.
need language in there that he needs to remove his sign, because we mow over there, and
Mhm.
we literally pull everybody's stakes out, and so the village will not be responsible if we have to move his sign to mow.
Okay. This is an administrative kind of matter that won't come before the board for formal approval, but we just wanted to get direction and make sure everyone was comfortable with that. Any other questions about the coffee?
And your next item, we have photos for the
Oh, okay. I'm excited about this. The because I haven't seen them, so we'll see what happens. This is the drainage area in Ogle Crossings number 2. As you know, we've been working with the owners in the HOA for a number of months since the winter to have them make plans and follow through on them to maintain their drainage area. Everyone in the subdivision drains into it, and it hasn't been working correctly. They've made some progress, but my understanding is that there's a few punch list type items left to do, and their current deadline is tomorrow to come into compliance. But my sense is from talking with various staff that the sense is that we would come up with some kind of punch list and give them some period of time to finish off those remaining few items, because there has been substantial progress since the beginning of the spring. Brett, do you care to explain what we're looking at? or give us an update on what's going on out there?
I happened to be out there on another, I had a meeting out there basically for some other punch list work, and so I just ran over and took pictures. So basically it was just, the pictures, there was 4 of them or whatever, it started at the north end, and I just took pictures all the way to the south end there, just to show you that there are still cattails, there's a few low spots, Basically, the water, we ended up with 1.5 inches of rain, I think it was yesterday. For the most part, the water did drain out, but you do have highs and lows in there, standing water in spots, you know, which might perk through, but it was just basically an overall picture of, you know, the condition as it was today, so.
But you're gonna have standing
What
water in there
punch
for a
list?
while, right?
Well, we agreed, not last week,
Yeah,
That was
yeah, it was
okay.
last week.
Yep.
that we were gonna just, instead of getting engineers involved again, we're just gonna, as long as it's draining, as long as it's mowable, and they keep killing the cattails, that we're no longer gonna engage the engineers to shoot it or do anything else with it.
Mhm.
We're just gonna,
Not looking to go back to the original state because it's 15,
Yeah, how many-
20 years
how
old.
long? Yeah.
right.
We're looking for a functional.
So right now, it is functional, it is draining. They are still going to continue maintaining, they're gonna continue maintaining, killing the, cattails, or attempting to. They were really kind of hampered earlier this year with all the rain we had, to be able to get in there and take care of it. My understanding is, I've lost his name.
Yeah.
No, Sharon's husband.
David?
David David May has actually been helping them mow it, because he has a bigger mower, to help keep it down. Spoke with the homeowner yesterday at 1,000, and they said they're gonna hand it off to, in their sale documents, that this has to continue, even though they've got the smaller portion of this, and that it needs to, the work needs to continue until it's restored back to the grass bottom. And
Is the HOA mowing that, you're gonna mow it then?
no, the homeowners
The
will.
homeowners.
Really?
That's who was mowing it before, well, it should have been mowing it before, the way it's set up as part of their property.
They do that.
You would expect to have standing water in there for a few days, though, after we got 2 inches one day and then 1.5 inches a
Yes.
few days later.
I mean, yes, I mean, it wouldn't really surprise me, you know, it is, I don't, like I said, once again, I don't know how this was originally designed, I don't know what it looked like before it was, you know, altered, if you wanna call it that. You know, like the one up front basically has a dedicated channel from the in to the out, you know, you have a concrete channel that basically funnels the water. You know, obviously this was not, unless there's one hidden under there we don't see, but,
The one up front didn't originally.
So, why don't,
okay, all right, understood.
who mows the one up front now?
HOA.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So why don't we work with Sharon and that homeowner and use our law firm to parcel that pond off? And then let the HOA maintain it and mow it, so it's not on that, because that way it puts more onus on the HOA, because it's theirs. And we don't run into this problem with the homeowner again.
I don't know that you're gonna get a homeowner to agree to that, because if
I
you,
totally would if I was a homeowner.
if you look at the GIS of that property, you are taking half of their lot or more.
Well, no offense, they're the ones that bought a property with a retention
You
pond.
can't, yeah, can't do that.
I just did.
Please don't do that.
If they're interested, I would totally be in support of it, just to help the homeowner out and that entire neighborhood, because it's a detention pond that should be maintained by the HOA to begin with. It was an error and an oversight on this village, once again, that we let that slip through. Ed, yes, it was.
No.
I would have never have voted for that, a retention pond to be on somebody's private property.
It is an easement, and it is everyone's responsibility in the,
You would take away-
in the HOA to, maintain it. That
But you
it's
just,
the HOA's.
no. You just said the HOA is required to maintain it. That's what I want to do, and you're telling me, no, it's the homeowner's responsibility.
No, I'm not, and actually, I'm not sure we care who maintains it. We just care that it's maintained, which is why the violation notices have gone to not just the subject owners, but also the HOA association. And it's really for them, an internal private association, for them to figure out how to maintain it. And it looks like that they've,
I would agree with
figured
that,
it
but I'd
out.
also like to help out our homeowners and our residents.
So are you saying that,
Never mind.
are you saying that if,
You have, like we said last time, you have the same thing here. For these two,
It's a poor design. It is absolutely a poor design by the engineer who developed that, as well as the village when they accepted the plat when it was submitted for subdivision.
Those are two separate
But-
plats and two.
but are you
separate
saying that
plats.
if the homeowners failed to maintain it, that we could go after the HOA to maintain it?
no.
See how?
I'm,
All right.
it's,
All right, that's all I wanted to know.
No, well, it's the HOA's responsibility, to maintain it.
Well, then,
How?
we would be able to go after them. You
We,
said no,
yeah,
though.
we can go after, but the HOA is all the owners in the subdivision, so, yeah, we would be able to go after everyone in that subdivision for failing to maintain
But not
that
the
drain,
association.
because everyone drains it.
But not the association itself.
Well, yes, the association.
All right. Well, that's what I'm asking, because, I mean, never mind, forget it. All right.
I guess, the important part is that somebody's taking care of it, and, I'm, from a village perspective, I'm not sure, we care who, but the, for, setting aside, like, this is a challenge that, all communities with detention areas, deal with, but setting that issue aside for who maintains the detention area, are we good with this detention area, or are there punch list type items that they need to, or is this just an ongoing maintenance thing that, they'll need to keep up with, and we'll monitor, but for now, we could tell them that they're in compliance?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm being a little dense here. If the property owner is paying property taxes on this land, how can you say that it belongs to the HOA? And I understand they all belong to the HOA out there, but if they're paying property taxes on this, then it's their responsibility to fix it. Correct or not correct?
No, the,
So I don't have to maintain anything that I'm paying property taxes on?
no, the HOA is a drainage easement in that area.
So,
No, on some of, you just said that some of these people own part of this.
They own the underlying land, yeah.
But there's an easement for the pond itself.
Yeah.
Retention area.
So you're dividing this up and saying there's land underneath that they own, but what's on top they don't? Did I just understand that right?
So that property out there is a parcel that has a massive detention pond easement in the backyard. That detention pond easement is what belongs to the HOA because it benefits the entire community. And so that's why the HOA
It doesn't
would
belong to
do
the HOA. It
Um,
belongs, that's exactly what I offered.
I'm sorry, hold on.
It belongs to the homeowner.
Please stop. I used the wrong word there. Fergie and I have these discussions all the time. That easement is for the benefit of all of the homeowners there.
Yeah.
So it is benefiting them, so that's what the easement is for. It's not owned per se, but it is benefiting all of those people.
Well, that's the difference. There's a difference between benefit and ownership.
But in terms of maintaining it, there isn't.
Which
They
is
still-
exactly why I think they
Because
would
they
I'm
benefit
still
from it, they
confused,
still
guys.
have to.
It's no different than the front of your yard.
Right.
But, so,
What this does for the benefit of the rest of the community, it keeps the water from flooding through. It retains it, drains it off slowly, so that it can not cause damage further down.
so are they, for right now, can we consider them to be in compliance and they'll have to follow up? I'm asking you, Fergie.
No, we said they're not in compliance yet,
They're
but
not
we're
yet?
gonna keep monitoring it.
All right.
Fergie and I'll watch, he'll probably watch it more than I will,
Oh, I thought,
but, we'll determine when it's actually compliant.
go ahead, 'cause I thought he just said that we were thinking that they were in compliance, no?
Right, so I guess that's the direction I'm asking for, is are we sending them a punch list and giving them time to finish it, or are we saying that,
Are we gonna take this?
we're satisfied for now, but you need to continue to, or we'll continue monitoring and you need to continue to maintain it?
I guess that goes back to our question of last week. Are we gonna we taking it away from the engineers, are we gonna take it away from the attorneys as well?
Right.
Well, I thought that basically besides the fact that they had to keep the cattails down, that they were basically in compliance with what we asked them
That's
to
what
do.
I thought we agreed upon last.
Yeah, that's where I thought we were
That
going
we
with this,
thought
in
that-
which case,
We wanted to just
all
make
we
sure
really
it's
want-
gonna drain.
Right.
Right, we told
Is
them,
them to continue to maintain
yeah.
and keep the cattails down and maintain what they have
what I
now.
explained to the homeowner was that we need it to drain, just like it's doing now, from north to south. We need it to have the cattails killed,
Right.
and we need the grass back in the bottom
Right.
eventually.
All right,
So
I'm
that
with
they
that.
can- So that's what they're still having to do.
All right. But basically, they're in compliance currently, they just need to continue.
They need to continue.
All right.
I understand.
Is that, everybody agreed with that?
That was my understanding.
Yes.
Okay.
My assumption from our last meeting.
All right.
All right, we'll send them, one more letter and tell them to, thanks for all your work to bring it to this point. Please continue to maintain it. It's important that this area drains properly for everyone in the
For the
subdivision.
benefit of the entire.
Mhm.
Yes, benefit. Friggin' I
And the
learned.
gra- I mean, with the
You're sending
grass,
it to both, the
Yeah.
HOA
Oh,
and the,
A-
so you
and-
might as well say for the benefit of it, that way they follow up on it.
That's what all the letters have said, that, and, you know, we took a real, in the initial notice, you know, we explained, to the owners and the HOA, why it's important that this works, because it really does, serve everybody's property in the subdivision. It's important it works right. And everything else I have is for closed session.
all right, and we're gonna back up to me. It is my recommendation, and I need consent and advice of the board, to nominate Nancy Carr to the Planning and Zoning Commission for a 5-year term.
I would definitely be in support of that.
Give consent.
Me too.
Yes.
You wanna come on up and speak into the mic?
Carry a microphone.
Kurt, you mind turn it, make sure the mic's on?
I'm sure she can push it easy.
Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh.
Hold on,
There's a
Kurt,
button
you
on the
wanna turn
side
that
towards
on
me.
for you? All right, you wanna raise your right hand and repeat after me? I, Nancy Carr,
I, Nancy Carr,
having been appointed to the office
having been appointed to the office
of Planning and Zoning Commission
of Planning and Zoning Commission
and Zoning Board of Appeals,
and Zoning Board of Appeals,
member. I cut off the word member in there. So it's member,
Member.
is Zoning Board
Member?
of Appeal member, yeah, I cut it short, sorry.
oh,
In the Village of Davis Junction,
for the Village of Davis Junction,
County of Ogle,
County of Ogle,
State of Illinois,
State of Illinois,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the Office of Planning and Zoning
of the Office of Planning and Zoning
and Zoning Board of Appeals member
and Zoning Board of Appeals member
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congrats! Can I get you to sign right here?
Next
Everything
week?
I just read. It's actually 2 weeks.
Okay, 2 weeks?
Because of because of the holiday.
Are we talking about pot?
Yeah.
There will not be samples.
There will also,
I'll volunteer to take a try.
thank you. Also up in 2 weeks on planning and zoning is, what's the other one up?
Solar.
Oh, the solar panel, changes to the zoning codes for allowing that on a regular basis.
So she'll get you all the stuff sent,
Yep,
so you'll be ready for it. Thank you. That was our last position?
yep, we are now full.
Excellent. It was funny, 'cause she asked what she needed to do to become a TZC ZBA member, and I said, volunteer and show up Tuesday night.
Thank you.
All right, so jump down to committees. Community development events.
With planning the fall party, Halloween party, the thing that's come up already is the trick or treat hours. I have changed them every year for like the last 3 years from complaints from people. I was just looking to see if you guys think that maybe we should throw out a survey on our Facebook thing, because we adjusted that with the garage sales, just to see what they say, because at least that way they have their input. And if they want to complain, they can complain to their neighbors.
we just said it, be done with it. You're not gonna make everybody happy.
Well, I know
We've
that.
tried this
You will
with
never make everybody
before.
happy.
But at least that way,
What was it last year?
last year, it was 5 to 7. Like, the first year was 5 to 8. Then we went, people thought it was too late. So then I went back to 4:30 to 7:30. People complained that kids were still getting off buses. They weren't getting home from work. You know, feed their kids, all that stuff. And then last year I did 5 to 7. I cut it shorter because it seemed like when it's during the week, people aren't staying out. And this year, Halloween is on a Thursday. So, I mean, we're getting
That's
closer
great.
to,
5 to 7 is
I was
great.
fine with
5 to
5 to 8, 'cause
7.
typically everybody stops on their own anyways, an
They
hour into it,
eventually do,
or an hour and
and
a half into it.
or you run out, one of the two.
Right.
Yeah.
But,
I wouldn't go any earlier than 5, but we've modified that many times, and no matter what you do, we're
well, you're always
gonna
gonna
get
have
there.
it.
So,
So I just didn't know if it was something.
5 to 7:30.
I'm a 5 to 7 person, so I just think, I mean, that's, and I'm thinking of little kids too. I mean, I remember being a little kid, and I remember when my son was little, 2 hours and I guess I think that the later hours serve the older kids, and honestly, they're older kids, so they've trick-or-treated when they were little.
I
I'm
mean,
not
'cause I think
trying
of
to
it-
say, but,
I think of it as going earlier, you still have somewhat of daylight for those younger kids and stuff for seeing, and it's not hopefully as cold as when it's,
People do start turning their lights off around 7.
right.
yeah,
A
they
lot
do.
of my neighbors, we leave our lights on, 'cause
Right.
we usually have candy left over, but
Yeah.
usually when people are done, they turn their lights
We
off.
ran out of candy last year, so, and we had a lot of
So
candy.
you guys are good with 5, just staying with 5 to 7 then, just,
I'm totally fine with 5 to 7. It's just, but that's my
Yes,
opinion.
it's fine. Whatever you want.
I like 8.
5 to 8?
I like 8 too.
I like 8, but it's just, it just gives it enough for the people that work till 6 or whatever. you know.
Well,
And I don't care, I
Well,
get
well,
candy
well,
out.
There's nothing else, get off at
When I
5,
run-
you gotta get home,
Yeah,
get kids
I
ready.
don't ever do that, I just think that's just, I don't do that. 'Cause I always feel like, you know what, they're little kids, I never turn the light off until I run out of candy.
I mean, and I see a lot of parents that I've talked, you know, the parents who do complain, well, they come home, they don't hand out candy anyway, 'cause they walk
With their
around with
kids.
their kids, so they're not handing it out anyway.
Well, if that extra till 8 gives them time to come back and hand out candy, then so be it. And if they think it's too late, then don't go
Then
late.
don't go out or
All
don't.
right, if you think
Go
it's too
home.
late, turn your light off.
Right,
Well,
if
that's
you
what
think
most of us
after
do.
7 is too late, then go home.
'Cause you don't have to walk home.
If,
Mhm.
maybe something that would help too
Sure.
is, when we
I mean, you don't have to
advertise
be out for
the-
3 hours, it's not saying it's mandatory.
yeah, well, maybe
Well,
when-
and that's what it is, there's like suggested hours, it's not mandatory that you trick or treat between these two times.
Do
5 to 8.
maybe something we could do when we advertise for the hours too, is we could also just put a reminder, like, if you don't want people to come to your home to turn off your lights, and that these are recommended hours, not mandatory, maybe just put some things out there that, just a friendly reminder.
I'm good with it. I think that's all I have
Okay.
for right now.
Finance Committee,
Any emergency expenditures, Brenda?
No.
Nothing.
Ordinance Enforcement, not here. Parks,
Ken, do you have anything this evening?
Yeah, just, the basketball court, we reached out to the company doing it and submitted the colors that were chosen, which is like a light blue and a bright red. I'm waiting for the date still. I'll try calling them again tomorrow and see if I can't actually get a locked-in date, and then I'll coordinate and make sure that it's gonna be feasible with everybody and it can be, you know, overseen and handled, and then we'll just kinda take it from there, so. That's about it. Hopefully, they were talking the third week of August, so obviously they're a little bit behind, so hopefully in the next week or two, they'll be here.
What about the bike path in front of the 10 acre park?
That'll be done whenever the tail end of the construction on Plat 10 is done, so.
Okay, thank you.
I keep forgetting, and so I'm gonna mention it probably inappropriately in this meeting. Can one of you two let me know right before that gets done? 'Cause I'd like to be able to advertise on our Facebook website and on the sign that path's gonna be closed, 'cause people are using it now to get to practices over here.
Yeah, 'cause they have soccer and like football out
Yeah,
there.
so just from, if one of you two could let me know when we get the heads up when it's gonna start, so we can let people know.
anything further? Streets?
Do we know any more about 134 or no? We could wait till next week if we need to. All right. Never
Yeah,
mind.
I need to speak with you about it first,
All right.
so.
All right. No, but we'll have plenty next week. How's that?
The only update is about the ComEd. which-
Oh, that's true. And actually, that's great for the public, is that the ComEd has come in and finished their, lowering their lines, and now Nicor needs to come in and lower their lines.
Cross your fingers this week.
I don't know, are they gonna be here this week?
They're telling us they're gonna try. They're on some big job or something, but they're gonna try to be here this week.
Just out of curiosity, ComEd moved a lot, not just, did they just move to one, or did they move more?
Like I said, they had to redirect lines, so they were all throughout that whole block there, so they did
Well, I
quite a
mean,
bit of work.
I understand that, but I'm wondering if we could get them to concentrate on the ones that we need them to move, so we could get our construction moving.
Who's that, Nicor?
Yeah, now that ComEd's done, yeah.
That is what they have to do, is,
So they're just those,
yes,
all
it's
right.
where we need them to move, lower their lines so we can put concrete in. Yes.
do you have any idea how long it'd take?
I would hope they could wrap it up in a day,
All right,
I would
great.
hope.
That would be fantastic.
but
Otherwise, taking much longer for the street construction than what we would hope, and we would hope that, residents would have some patience. We're trying to get it done as quickly as possible.
I've had a few of them come into Village Hall, and they've been very understanding when I explain that's kind of out of our hands at this moment.
That's it for me. That's it for streets, unless you have something else.
no, I do not. That's it, Chris.
I have a question. Do you guys remember, I had asked, Matt about this too, but I had thought when we had went back and we had did that speed study on 72, I thought they were going to move the speed, the 55, the signs further.
I need to find you that letter, 'cause you and Matt were emailing about
Yeah.
that. Yeah. There's a letter floating around somewhere that said that they were going to do that.
Well, I remember Jason saying that we couldn't do anything because IDOT had to move it,
Yeah.
because I,
And I
like it
had
further
agreed to
west.
move it. I just need to find the letter that says that they agreed to it, so I
Okay.
can give it to Matt and he can
Okay.
go.
Moving the 40 mile per
Well,
hour
the
sign
40
further
and
out.
the 55 out. the
Farther.
Yeah, further west, because, the 55 is the for Dollar General, and,
Right.
we have all those things, if we ever expand further,
Yeah.
that's a rear end job waiting to happen right there.
Yeah, I just need to find that letter and
Okay.
give it to Matt.
Because I could swear I remember discussing that.
We did.
Okay, thank you.
You're not losing it.
Some days.
All right, utilities?
The only thing I have, it's not on here, is that, the cover was taken off the ditch, and I think you have pictures of it as well, if anybody's wondering what they actually, what they did, what it looked like, so forth.
So did it come off easy?
No,
No.
that was an absolute horrible, horrible project.
Pieces?
All of us that voted yes on that were being, looked down upon.
The silent
strongly
treatment.
by Fergie, whoever.
It was horrible.
Proof you were there.
So, yes, the crew did, I mean, it was amazing the work that they did. That's not even a good enough word for it. So,
That's insane.
the crane operator said that was the first time he's ever pulled weeds with a crane. So, if you scroll down to the next picture, there should be another one.
Nope.
Scroll, go back.
Did I only get 4 in there?
Yeah, okay, there's one where there's a big giant,
No, there's 6 in there.
I don't see the one with the weeds hanging. Maybe I didn't send it to you, Sandy. I thought I did. Anyway, there's one with a giant thing of weeds hanging that was actually
Right
taller
there.
than me.
Is that it?
No, it's hanging from the crane, so we had to pull weeds with the crane. And I'm not even exaggerating. We had to pull weeds with the crane. That's how bad they were. Okay, it must not have went through, Sandy, so. But anyway, yeah, it came off.
That's good.
Okay, the removing the cover was actually not the worst part. It was pulling the weeds to try to keep that from going down into the tank and then plugging up our clarifiers, stuff like that. So that was the difficult part, was actually getting the weeds out of there. And like I said, they did an absolute phenomenal job.
How many were on their crew?
All of us. It was an all hands.
It
It was
was
everybody.
everybody.
I had people staged. We have 3, we call them donuts, but the rings.
Mhm.
So we had people staged at different locations depending on where the crew that were working out on the cover. So that way at any given moment, 1 to 2 people could throw
Okay.
a donut. So that was an all hands project.
Wow.
So that was 3 days worth
I was gonna
of
say,
work.
how long did it take? Okay.
So, yep. So, but anyway, it's gone.
Yeah.
And, just so everyone is aware, there is no saving that cover. It is damaged, it is destroyed, it did not pull,
Well, it's just
well
that
in
close to
places,
it,
it
yeah.
tore,
Like
it is
in
junk.
pieces.
So,
It looks like stuff, I mean, obviously
Yes.
blew through it and.
it is junk. So I will work on how to get rid of it. I don't know if the landfill will take it as construction waste. I'll have Sandy and Jess kind of talk to their connections at the landfill and see if we can get rid of it. Or Billy. Thank you. Anyway, it's done.
Thank you so much.
It's done.
Excellent. Anything further?
Unless Fred has something?
I do we want to talk about the equipment?
Oh, I thought we were gonna talk about the fun part of this, removing the cover.
What's that?
I thought you were gonna talk about the fun part of removing the
No,
cover.
I'm not.
Uh,
This guy?
What equipment?
Yeah.
Oh.
we're not.
The chem.
So, well, I guess 2 things. One, I failed to put something on the agenda. So the Thompson gas did not make it onto the agenda, so that will be on the agenda on the next voting meeting, that we discussed last week. For some reason, that just didn't get transferred over. The
Oh.
propane gas for
Okay.
the Public Works building.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
Okay.
that'll get pushed back to the next voting meeting.
Okay.
4,000.
Yeah, and then, I mean, you could talk about it next week.
We can do it next week.
Yeah,
No,
let's do it
yeah.
next week. 'Cause that
No
way
problem
we
there.
can vote on it the week after, yeah.
No problem. That's it then, Dina, for me.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anybody have anything on economic development? Public? Entertain a motion. Oh, wait, Dan has one more thing.
I've got one more thing before closed. As you might remember, Verizon was supposed to, pull permits, send us plans, or remove their equipment by August 21st. Of course, on the eve of that deadline, they, sent us a proposal, and on Monday, they sent us construction drawings. Matt Hanson took a look at them, because we weren't able to, get with everybody, direction from everybody before the deadline expired. We extended it, a short extension to, September 11th, 2019. So I would just ask, maybe this is an item for committee or maybe a meeting that Matt's around. You could take a look at those plans and give us direction on what you want to do.
Can you educate me on what new plans they submitted?
It's a 10-foot fence, and it's I can get with you after and talk you through them, but there's no new enclosure. There's just a taller fence, and I don't have the plans in front of me,
You
but
can put them in the committee packet, can't I?
yeah.
We were just,
I thought we were done with
I
it.
thought we were done and we
I
were just
thought we were
waiting on the
totally done with
answer
that.
on the cost reimbursement. The attorneys and engineering fees that we asked them to reimburse us for just trying to get a hold of them.
Right, but,
I thought that's the only thing we had left hanging.
Because we weren't gonna keep on.
I was under the impression that the village wasn't satisfied with the work that they did out there.
We weren't. We originally gave them the deadline to have their stuff either
I thought they were gonna remove
repaired
it.
or removed by the 21st. As that deadline grew closer, Dan was looking for direction from me, and I failed to give it to him. So he extended it to September 11th. But on the end of their, time, they proposed these new plans.
What they proposed was to remove the roof over it to eliminate the noise from the water coming off the water tower.
Which they did,
And
without telling
we
us.
said that there was issues with the fence, that the panelings were falling off, and that the landscaping wasn't what they had proposed, and they had suggested doing all that, if I recall,
Mhm.
and that we told them that we wanted to be reimbursed our legal and engineering fees because in the agreement we had a means to communicate with them, but they failed to respond. and we had to follow through all the way through potential litigation
Yeah.
just to get them to give us a call back. And
Yeah.
we wanted them to reimburse us for all of our legal fees, and they said they were gonna take it back and give us an answer, and I thought that's exactly where we left this off at.
Right, and,
You missed a few meetings during 1 month, and I think that was when they came back and the plans were still not deemed acceptable, the corrections that they made was not deemed acceptable, and so Dan was directed to go back and tell them, we're not accepting the work that you've done, because they did come in and remove the roof, but they didn't lower it below the fence line, so they did like half of kind of what we asked, but they didn't pull permits, they didn't do any of that. So Matt went out and took another look at it, told Dan, this is the work that's been done, the village board then decided that it wasn't acceptable still, and they said, just remove your stuff. And so Dan went back and told them, remove your stuff. and-
Or become compliant.
yeah.
Or come into compliance, and
Oh,
so then
we
they
just-
came back with
I thought we
this.
just said-
And the other
Yeah.
unresolved,
I don't think there was another
the antenna whistling, that's the other
Yeah.
unresolved item.
Yeah, so that's where we were, and they had until the 21st,
Yeah.
and now they have until September 11th to either remove their stuff or come into compliance. And they've offered another plans, it sounds like,
Right.
that,
But we're not looking for
Sure.
other plans.
Well, if you're not
Their
satisfied,
plans are to come in compliance with the new.
well, if you're not compliance would be building what they originally built. They're trying to give you, something else, and you guys need to be satisfied with that before we move forward. Or tell them to remove their
I thought we
equipment.
were with removing the roof.
but they were supposed to remove the roof and lower it below the fence line. They
And-
didn't do that.
And the antenna whistling's
How can they
still,
lower it below the fence line? So-
they're raising the fence.
They said that you wouldn't be able to see it anymore when they were here. That didn't happen. The whistling is still occurring. I sent Matt video of that.
And that's a separate issue.
Yes, but,
But
and then the,
My understanding was that I interpreted you're not gonna be able to see the roof anymore.
when
With
they
a
were
10-foot
here,
fence?
when they were here, they said you wouldn't be able to see it at all. And so when Matt went and did the inspection on it, they said you can
So,
see
this
it.
is my opinion, it seems like we're just starting to nitpick this to death,
It's just done.
so.
What do you mean nitpick it to death? You think that seeing the structure, when they said you wouldn't see a structure, is nitpicking?
No,
Then I'm missing.
we've given them direction, and then they've come back, and then we've given them different direction, and that we're just finding anything we can to pick on.
Oh, we didn't give them that direction. They went and did that of their own free will because
Right.
they didn't come to the village and get the permits they were required to
Aware.
do. So we're
Right.
not,
And
we haven't
we've asked them
authorized
to pay
them.
for the permits and the fines
yeah,
for that.
and they haven't done any of that.
Right.
Well, they
The-
So we didn't
Communicate with
authorize
us
the
at all.
changes that they made.
So what are you suggesting then? William?
Apparently, there was, they were here in a meeting that I'm not aware of, so.
They were not
can't-
here. There was a discussion at the board level.
So like, just to clarify, so, am I misunderstanding it? So like, they are to come and get all their stuff and to be done by September or whatever? Or are we still, so that's where I'm a little confused. Like,
Right.
I thought, like,
we only agreed to a short date so that we could get direction from you guys. If you actually want them to follow through and do the plans that they submitted, I imagine they would need more time.
They're not going to. They've clearly stated they're not gonna bring that structure in here. Their format of how they operate is past that ability. They don't put those structures in there.
Oh, no, right, the
we-
original structure, yeah, so, but we need direction from,
But
you
their-
guys
their
on
last
whether you're
suggestion-
okay with
This
their
is gonna get
alternative.
redundant, but their last
Direction.
suggestion was to install a 10-foot fence to further conceal the equipment, replace that larger cabinet that was sticking above the fence with a smaller cabinet, or just give you model numbers for larger and smaller, and lower the ice bridge, and then address the persistent whistling. That was what their last proposal was. Again, it's just pretty much replay of everything else except a bigger fence.
how long has this been?
2014.
You know,
All
you-
I'm saying,
You guys have dealt with it much longer than I have.
seriously, I mean,
So it's not
we're
new
approaching
information.
2020. And they've never come into compliance with what we're looking for, or what they originally said they would, right?
Are you okay with giving the attorneys direction to tell them just remove it?
I thought we did.
No,
No?
I'm not.
let y'all look at the plan.
You're okay with it or you're not okay with it?
Well, maybe we should look at the plans.
How about I put them in the committee packet for next week,
That
and
would
then
be
we
great.
can, you guys can discuss again.
I'll listen to everybody discuss it.
You know, I have not been here for that long,
2014,
so I don't know.
2020, I'll listen.
Lots of us haven't been here that long.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've been dealing with them for a long time yourself, right? And William, right? I know Jared does.
So we can say this is going
I
on
want
since
it gone.
2014, but they came here in 2014, they put everything up, and then it was a long delay before we started approaching them on.
Oh, it wasn't that long. That whistling occurred pretty dang quickly right after
You're
that
talking two
happened.
different issues here.
It's-
You're talking the whistling, and now you're talking the compliance with what they submitted in their packet.
That's-
They're different.
It's compliance with the lease agreement.
I know many people over there, and I get one complaint on whistling, and they live next door.
And I will continue to complain and send
And
videos.
that's fine.
I should not have to listen to whistling.
So yeah, put it in the committee packet.
Will do.
Yeah, and just, give us direction before the new deadline. That's all.
Okay,
All right. So.
back to public? Closed session?
Can I
I'd like to make a motion for closed session 2C11 litigation when an action against affecting or on behalf of the particular public body has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, or when the public body finds that an action is probable or imminent, in which case the basis for the finding shall be recorded and entered into the minutes of the closed meeting.
I'll second that.
John makes a motion to go into closed session under section 2C11. Dina seconds. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Dina?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
William?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Shared assessment? John?
Yes.
8:02.
Motion to reconvene open session.
Second.
John makes a motion to reconvene open session. Chris seconds. We want to do discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're back in open session at 8:21 on August 27th, 2019. We have no action on closed session items. I do have one other item before we close, and that is, if you guys don't know, which I assume you all do by now, that Kenny this is his last week with us. He'll be taking.
He didn't ask us permission.
He's taking on a role somewhere else. Personally, I think he'll be greatly missed. He has agreed to help us out for a little while as he can.
I don't think we're seeing him on Tuesdays, though.
No, to get us through the end of the
Tuesday
season,
break.
it gives us time to get somebody else in here and assume those duties. So we will have a function for Kenny when that time comes, when he does leave us for good instead of tonight. But just wanted to say, we'll miss you.
And thank you.
Been great.
Absolutely.
Congratulations.
He's not going far.
He's not going far.
He'll be around.
I'm still gonna be at your house, just letting you know that.
I know. No, but thank you, everybody. I mean, the support's been great through the years. Everybody's done nothing short of back me. The department, John's been great. You know, my first year, actually, we got a lot done. And it just, everything's been whatever you need, whatever you need, whatever you need. You know, and it's made the job easy. So it makes it hard to leave. But still a community member. I'm still here. You know, and anything above and beyond that, anything you guys need, you know, please know my phone's always on. So
He's still here to judge.
yeah,
He said he's available for contract work.
that too. But no, I greatly
Thank you.
appreciate everything you guys have done for me. So
So I gotta tell Kyle that he's got to step up his IT ability.
I'd be the one for that.
Anybody have anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
John makes a motion to adjourn. Dina seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. We're so adjourned at 8:23.